Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Reborn in Highschool DxD as a Lucifuge. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Quick update. The series What If Transmigrated as Minato Namikaze is now on hold, since we're caught up with the author. Along with that, the series What If Fishing System and Food Wars World will be going on hold soon, since we're nearly caught up with the author there as well. So now, I need your help picking the next two projects for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these three fanfics. What if creating the strongest Strawhat crew by reading manga? What if Transmigrated and taking over Ichigo's body? What if martial artist Reborn is Kenichi Shirahama? Please vote in the poll and let me know which stories you'd like to see next. I'll take the top 2 picks and start working on those series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 131, A Challenge from the Four Gods, Princess Linfa. Thank you, Roy-sama. Lux exclaimed, approaching Roy with a grateful smile. Well, we did come together. But 3 of your teammates have been eliminated, Roy said, stroking his chin. It'll be dangerous to continue with only 2 members. It's all right. We weren't planning to win anyway, Lux replied with a carefree shrug. Oh? Because Roy-sama is here. You'll definitely win. Lux's eyes sparkled with admiration. Well, we're heading back to our base now. What about you? Lux's expression fell. Her team's strategy relied on her teammates stalling for time while she charged her ultimate attack. But now, with 3 members gone, it would be nearly impossible for them to collect more magic stones. Even if they survived the remaining 3 days, they wouldn't be able to reach the top 4. Lux quickly regained her cheerful demeanor. Roy-sama, I don't think we can continue. But I'm very grateful to you. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't have even made it to the blade dance, she said sincerely. Ever since Roy defeated her team, she had become a devoted admirer. They had trained hard and defeated the team with the beast spirits just to participate in the blade dance with Roy. Roy-sama, please fulfill my wish. Lux handed him her magic stone. Are you sure? Roy was surprised. Yes, we've made up our minds. We'll be cheering for you, Lux replied with a smile. Roy accepted their magic stones. If you have any wishes, tell me. I'll grant them, he promised. Lux's eyes widened in surprise and joy. We'll be waiting for your triumphant return. I'll tell you my wish then, she said with a playful wink, her cheeks slightly flushed. Then, she and her remaining teammate dissolved into particles of light and were teleported away. They forfeited, Claire commented. Let's do our best, for their sake as well, Roy encouraged them. Yes. The girls nodded. They returned to their base. Fortunately, it hadn't been attacked. The next day, after a good night's rest, the girls were full of energy. Look, someone sent this with a messenger spirit, Alice announced, holding up a scroll made of animal hide. She untied the string, revealing strange symbols that resembled snake-like patterns. What language is this? Roy asked, confused. I have no idea, Alice admitted. Honestly, you guys. Claire sighed, then explained, it's the script used in Eastern cultures. You should have learned this in the basic courses at the academy. I am not good with languages, Alice mumbled, her ponytail drooping. Claire, being the diligent student, began reading the letter fluently. Her expression turned serious as she reached the end. What's wrong? What does it say? Rinslet asked. It's a challenge letter. From the 4 gods, Claire replied grimly. The 4 gods? Alice gasped. The 4 gods were the representatives from the Quina Empire, a powerful nation in the east. And they were a team of formidable elementalists. The Quina Empire had a longer history than even the Rhodesia Empire and had a record of impressive victories in past blade dances. The four gods were known for their exceptional teamwork. And their ace, Xiaofu, who wielded the sacred beast White Tiger, was a renowned warrior. Besides the Inferno, they were considered one of the strongest teams in the tournament, alongside the Dracunia Dragon Knights and the Holy Spirit Knights of Lugia. Their base isn't far from here. They've already defeated most of the teams in this area. It seems we're the only ones left, Claire explained. What does the challenge letter say? Rinslet asked curiously. They're challenging us to a duel in a neutral location, Claire replied, rolling up the scroll. The blade dance wasn't just a martial arts competition or a test of strength. It was also a sacred ritual performed by noble maidens, a dance dedicated to the elemental lords. Therefore, when teams wanted to have an all-out battle, it was customary to issue a formal challenge letter. It was currently the fourth day of the main tournament, and most teams had already established their bases and strengthened their defenses. In the initial stages of the tournament, most battles were chance encounters or ambushes. But now that the tournament had progressed, teams would likely start issuing challenges to break the stalemate. So, what do you think? Roy asked, gauging their reactions. They could ignore the challenge, but we have to accept, Claire declared after a moment of consideration. Refusing a challenge would damage the reputation of Arishiya Spirit Academy and Headmaster Greyworth. I agree with Claire. They have some nerve. Let's crush them. As Roy had expected, the girls were eager to fight. Roy had no objections either. There were only 3 days left in the tournament, and he was curious to see the fighting style of the Eastern team. They've set the duel for tomorrow morning. Ellis, please send a messenger to the four gods with our acceptance, Claire instructed. No problem. Ellis nodded and summoned her wind spirit, Simord, to deliver the message. Meanwhile, deep within the forest, far from Team Scarlet's base, a clearing had been created by felling numerous trees. In the center of the clearing stood a magnificent Eastern-style temple. This was the base of the four gods, the representatives from the Quina Empire. The team members were gathered before the temple, kneeling before their princess. My generals, share your thoughts with me, a voice commanded from behind a thin curtain. The speaker was Linfa, the third princess of the Quina Empire and the commander of the four gods. She was even smaller than Milla. 3 girls knelt before her. Princess Linfa, I believe it's unwise to fight Team Scarlet at this time, one of the girls, dressed in a green outfit, declared. She was Rao Rin, the elementalist who wielded the sacred beast Azure Dragon. Why? Explain yourself. Linfa's voice was laced with displeasure. Rao, however, continued calmly, with your strength, Princess Linfa, and the combined might of the four gods, we could easily crush that insignificant team. However, I'm concerned that if we exhaust ourselves fighting them, we might be vulnerable to an attack from the Crimson Princess and her Inferno. I understand. Hakua, Xiaofu, do you agree with Rao? If Rao says so, then I agree. I just want to fight strong opponents. The rest doesn't matter. Hakua, the elementalist who wielded the sacred beast Black Tortoise, and Xiaofu, the elementalist who wielded the sacred beast White Tiger, expressed their opinions. Asking you two for your opinions was pointless, Linfa sighed from behind the curtain. Rao, suppressing her frustration, continued her counsel. Princess Linfa, please reconsider. Although Team Scarlet is an unknown team, they are not to be underestimated. We have already collected enough magic stones to advance to the finals. There's no need to take unnecessary risks. I understand, but... The princess's voice was troubled. I've already sent them a challenge letter. What? Why did you do that without consulting us? I've told you many times to discuss important matters with us first. Well, aren't we discussing it now? We should discuss it before making decisions. Rao retorted, her respect for the princess momentarily forgotten. Send a messenger to cancel the challenge immediately. I forbid it. A promise is a promise. We can't simply withdraw a challenge letter. You're right. But. Rao was speechless. Xiao Fu patted her shoulder. Don't worry about it. As long as we work together, we can defeat both Team Scarlet and the Inferno. It's not that simple. Don't you know that Team Scarlet is the team with that male elementalist? I heard he even defeated Leonora Lancaster. Even if we can defeat him, it won't be easy, Rao warned. Yes. That male elementalist. Linfa suddenly raised her voice. Princess Linfa? The girls looked at her in confusion. I sent that challenge letter to eliminate that wicked tyrant. To deliver justice. Linfa declared, her voice filled with anger. A wicked tyrant? Yes. You must have heard the rumors. That infamous tyrant, Roy, not only surrounds himself with pure and innocent noble girls, but he also forces them to. Linfa's face flushed slightly. I've indeed heard those rumors. Rao shuddered, recalling the absurd stories. I heard that the Night Demon King forces innocent girls to do unspeakable things every night. And even worse, he makes them wear knee-high socks. That's disgusting. Absolutely perverted. Xiao Fu and Hakua frowned. And not only that, during this blade dance, after defeating a girl, that Night Demon King, not satisfied with just that, even stole her first. Her first kiss? Hakua. Don't say it so bluntly. Rao scolded, her own face turning red. Anyway, we have to eliminate that Night Demon King as soon as possible. We can't worry about the magic stones now. You're absolutely right. Wait, shouldn't we hear Ryan's opinion? Xiao Fu suddenly interjected. Ryan Sharma was the last member of the Four Gods, the elementalist who wielded the sacred beast Vermilion Bird. She was currently on a mission to scout the Inferno's base. Ryan was supposed to return before their meeting, but she was nowhere to be seen. Could something have happened to her? Ryan is not like you. She's cautious. There's no way. I am grateful for your trust, Princess. A calm voice suddenly came from the forest. Ryan, you're back. Why are you so late? We were worried. A girl with red hair and a crimson outfit emerged from the trees. She walked towards the curtain and knelt. I have returned after completing my mission. Good. Report on the Inferno's movements, Linfa instructed. Run, Rubia Elstian and her team seem to have collected a significant number of magic stones. They are currently defending their base. I believe they intend to keep their military spirit in top condition for the final round. Now is the perfect opportunity for us to attack Team Scarlet. So there's nothing to worry about. Excellent. It's decided then. We, the Four Gods, will set out to eliminate that wicked Night Demon King, Roy. Linfa declared. The other girls nodded in agreement. But no one noticed the sly smirk on Ryan's face as she bowed. Chapter 132, Quina Empire Four Gods. On the fifth day of the Blade Dance, everyone was focused on the upcoming duel with the Four Gods. After a day of rest, the girls were eager to fight. Team Scarlet enjoyed a simple breakfast and prepared for battle. Roy, we've been waiting for you, a girl's voice suddenly called out from the tranquil forest. Everyone, get in formation. Claire ordered, and they quickly took their positions. Four girls emerged from the trees, each wearing a colorful Eastern-style dress similar to a qipao. Be careful, everyone. They're the Four Gods, Claire warned, gripping her flame whip tightly. The members of the Four Gods were all stunningly beautiful. Since spirits favored girls with attractive appearances, beauty was considered one of the criteria for becoming an elementalist. Although the girls of Team Scarlet were also beautiful, the Four Gods exuded a unique, exotic charm. Their uniforms, form-fitting dresses that accentuated their curves, were adorned with embroidery representing their respective sacred beasts. The daring slits in their skirts revealed glimpses of their legs as they moved. The Four Gods stepped forward and introduced themselves. Greetings. I am Rao Rin, the Azure Dragon's elementalist, the first girl said. And I'm Hakua, the Black Tortoise's elementalist. The two girls with black hair styled in buns bowed in unison. They were sisters and looked quite similar. I'm Ryan Sharma, the Vermilion Bird's elementalist, the third girl said with a gentle smile. And I am Xiaofu, the White Tiger's elementalist. Pleased to meet you, the last girl declared. She had striking white hair and fierce blue eyes that gleamed with a predatory intensity. This was the strongest elementalist of the four gods. Claire had mentioned her when explaining the team. Although petite, Xiaofu exuded an aura of power that belied her size. Finally, a girl dressed in ceremonial attire stepped forward. She was the smallest among them and had been hidden behind the others until now. I am Linfa Sin Quina, the third princess of the Quina Empire, she declared proudly. She must be the commander of the four gods, Roy thought. Judging by her attire, she wasn't a frontline fighter. She was likely a support type like Fianna, using ritual dances to aid her teammates. Roy looked at Linfa, her petite figure barely reaching his chest. Is she really older than Milla? He wondered. Milla Bassett was the youngest participant in the tournament. But Linfa looked even younger than Milla. May I ask you a question? Roy asked. What do you want, Unite Demon King? Linfa glared at him suspiciously. How old are you? What? Linfa's eyes narrowed. Are you trying to trick me with your sweet talk? No, I don't have a thing for kids, Roy said with a shrug, waving his hands defensively. I am not a kid. I'm 16. Linfa retorted. Eh? You're the same age as Claire and the others? Roy was surprised. I'm not lying. You're so rude. Linfa stomped her foot, her eyes welling up with tears as she pointed at Roy accusingly. You wicked Roy. I won't forgive you. My loyal four gods, tear this evil demon king to pieces. Following her command, the four gods summoned their elemental wafts. Oops, I seem to have angered her, Roy said with a sheepish grin. Fianna and the others rolled their eyes at him. The battle was about to begin. The four gods spread out, surrounding Roy and his team. Xiaofu charged towards Roy. Judging by the tiger-shaped gauntlets she wore, she was a close combat specialist. Claire, I'll handle her, Roy said, pointing at Xiaofu. Understood. Ellis and I will defend the rear, Claire replied. Roy leaped forward. A one-on-one fight? Just what I wanted. Xiaofu grinned, her fists clenched. Xiaofu, the strongest of the four gods, the White Tiger, awaits your challenge, she declared. She lunged at Roy, her gauntlets flashing. Roy, however, didn't summon his sword. He simply blocked her punch with his bare hand. What? You blocked my punch without even using your elemental waff? Xiaofu exclaimed in surprise. Don't be so shocked. The real surprise is yet to come, Roy replied with a smirk. Don't underestimate me. My elemental waff, the divine tiger fangs, is both a weapon and a shield. She suddenly ducked and unleashed a flurry of punches with incredible speed. Roy effortlessly blocked her attacks. But then, the tiger engravings on her gauntlets came to life, biting at Roy's arms. Roy's expression remained unchanged. No matter how hard the tiger bit, it couldn't even pierce his skin. If an ordinary person were bitten by the divine tiger fangs, their arms would be torn to shreds. Xiaofu was dumbfounded. Her white tiger spirit couldn't even scratch him? How was that possible? Meanwhile, Rao, Hakua, and Ryan seized the opportunity and broke through their defenses. Roy didn't stop them. He was holding back Xiaofu, their strongest member. Claire and the others should be able to handle the remaining three. Seeing that her bites were ineffective, Xiaofu released Roy's arm and leaped back, then charged at him again. Roy continued to block her attacks with his bare hands. I'm not done yet. Xiaofu shouted, then vanished. In the next instant, she appeared before Roy, unleashing a rapid series of punches. She then stopped her assault. You may look fine, but you're injured internally, aren't you?" she declared. "My assassination technique, Tiger's Roar, uses shockwaves to damage internal organs. It's invisible to the naked eye." Her blue eyes gleamed with predatory intensity. "Oh? Is that so?" "I don't feel anything," Roy replied with a shrug. "Don't try to act tough. Your insides must be a mess," Xiaofu insisted. "Well, okay, I'm a bit injured," Roy admitted with a sigh, seeing her smug expression. Xiaofu nodded in satisfaction. "But I won't go easy on you, even if you're injured. Bring it on." Roy beckoned her with a playful grin. Xiaofu, feeling insulted, charged at him again. Meanwhile, Claire and Ellis faced the other three members of the Four Gods. Rao Rin wielded a guandao. Hakua held a large shield. And Ryan Sharma wielded a staff. They all summoned their elemental wafts, ready for battle. "I won't let you run wild here," Claire declared, cracking her flame whip. Fianna's ritual dance wasn't complete yet. They had to hold them off with just the three of them. Rao attacked first, thrusting her guandao towards them. Ellis met her attack with her windishlance, deflecting the blade. "O winds of disaster, blow freely," she chanted, unleashing a gust of wind that formed sharp blades, aiming for Rao. Rao leaped back to dodge, but just as the wind blades were about to hit her, Hakua, the black tortoise, jumped between them, her shield deflecting the attack. Her earth spirit specialized in defense. Claire's attack was too weak to break through. "Oh fangs of ice, pierce my enemy!" Ice shot. Rinslet, seeing this, fired a barrage of ice arrows. Rao and Hakua swiftly switched positions, and Rao deflected the arrows with her guandao. The Four Gods were indeed a formidable team, their coordination flawless. "Oh flames, capture my enemy! Hellfire binding!" Claire lashed out with her flame whip, wrapping it around Rao's guandao. Just as she was about to disarm her opponent. "Fool! Do you think you can capture the ever-changing flow of water?" Rao's blade dissolved into water and reformed on the other end of the staff. "Big sister, it's our turn to attack," Hakua declared, charging towards Claire while she was retracting her whip. Her shield wasn't just for defense. It was also a powerful weapon in close combat. "Oh Earth, unleash your mighty roar!" "Earth Splitter," she shouted, slamming her shield onto the ground. She had activated an earth elemental magic spell. The ground rumbled, and dust filled the air. This attack wasn't meant to directly harm them but to obscure their vision. "Take this!" Blazing Inferno. Too slow. Hakua interrupted Claire's attack, closing the distance and punching towards her heart. Claire leaped back, dodging the attack. Hakua pursued her, but Rinslet's ice arrows forced her to dodge. Claire used the opportunity to regain her stance and attack with her flame whip. "You're too naive, Firecat." "What?" Ryan seized the opening and entered Claire's range. She twirled her staff, allowing Claire's flame whip to wrap around it. "How is this possible? You absorbed Scarlet's flames?" Claire exclaimed in surprise. "Hee, my sacred beast, the vermilion bird, is a flame spirit," Ryan explained with a giggle. She released her staff, which transformed into a fiery bird. The bird absorbed Scarlet's flames and grew larger, then soared into the sky. "That's a sacred beast. She's strong." Claire, Ellis, and Rinslet, despite facing three members of the Four Gods, were holding their own. Once Fianna completed her ritual dance, they would gain the upper hand. "Fianna, please hurry," Claire thought, glancing at Fianna, who was performing the ritual dance. "Oh spirits of the earth, heed my call." While the battle raged on the front lines, Fianna danced gracefully, her movements fluid and precise. She chanted the incantation in the spirit language, her voice soft and melodious. "I beseech your protection and praise your power." Her dance was mesmerizing, like a queen on the battlefield. Suddenly, Fianna felt her body become lighter. The earth spirits were responding to her ritual dance. She landed gracefully, and a magic circle appeared beneath her feet. She had completed the Song of Glory. This was the fourth ritual dance she had learned as an elemental princess candidate. It channeled divine power from the earth veins to her allies within the area of effect. Meanwhile, Roy continued to effortlessly block Xiaofu's attacks with his bare hands. Xiaofu was panting heavily. "Are you a monster? Why can't I defeat you?" she exclaimed in frustration. "You can't defeat me, little girl," Roy chuckled. "Don't underestimate me," Xiaofu retorted, enraged by his dismissive tone. Just then, a brilliant magic circle appeared nearby. Roy felt a surge of divine power flowing into his body from the earth veins. Fianna had completed her ritual dance. With this power boost, they should be able to overwhelm their opponents. "Your shrine maiden is indeed a former elemental princess candidate. She can channel such immense power," Xiaofu commented, seemingly unfazed by the sudden power boost. She assumed a fighting stance and continued, "But compared to our Princess Linfa, she's still far too inexperienced." Suddenly, the magic circle on the ground began to change, its pattern shifting rapidly. It was as if black ink was spreading across a white canvas. "What's going on?" Roy exclaimed in surprise. "Using ritual magic to rewrite another's ritual. Princess Linfa has been waiting for your shrine maiden to complete her dance," Xiaofu explained, launching another attack. Linfa had rewritten Fianna's ritual, stealing the power for their own team. Chapter 133, Subduing the Four Gods. Unmasking the Imposter. In the distance, Princess Linfa of the Quina Empire danced gracefully, her colorful attire flowing around her. "Behold! The spirit dress of the divine beast, Karen," Xiaofu declared proudly. Even Roy was impressed by this display of power. "Now, take this." King's Fong roar. Xiaofu charged towards Roy, her gauntlets unleashing a shockwave of wind. The sudden attack struck Roy. Her strength, amplified by the ritual, was even greater than before. However, the impact felt like a gentle breeze against Roy's body. "Impossible!" Xiaofu gasped, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Nothing is impossible." "It's time to end this," Roy declared, shaking his head. He had noticed that Claire and the others were struggling against the four gods, whose strength had been enhanced by the ritual. He had to intervene before they were defeated. Roy crouched down and placed his hand on the ground. "Freeze," he commanded. A layer of ice instantly spread across the ground, originating from his hand and creeping towards the four gods. In the blink of an eye, Xiaofu's legs were encased in ice. Then, it was Rao Rin's turn, followed by Hakua and Ryan. Finally, even Princess Linfa was frozen solid. The four gods were stunned. "What's going on?" Rao Rin asked, looking at Claire and the others in confusion. Claire, Ellis, and Rinslet, however, looked at Roy with a mix of surprise and relief. "All right, Princess Linfa, let's call this duel a draw," Roy announced, clapping his hands to get their attention. The four gods finally realized that it was Roy who had frozen them. "Damn it! Damn it! Damn it!" Linfa, the princess of the Quina Empire, was furious. Victory had been within their grasp, but the tables had turned, and now they were defeated. This man possessed such overwhelming power that he had immobilized them in an instant. "I'm so angry." Who was the one who called them a second-rate team? "Show yourself," she demanded. According to the Eurasia Spirit Academy rankings, although Team Scarlet is a dark horse this year, they were unknown before. "They're not as famous as Team Silent Fortress," Xiaofu explained. "Forget it. I suppose we can't judge a team without facing them in battle. I didn't expect that man to be so powerful. Victory and defeat are common in battle. There's no need to dwell on it. We fought with all our might. Even if we lost, we have no regrets." Although Linfa was still frustrated, her subordinates' responses were surprisingly mature. "Why are you all acting so defeated?" "I said it was a draw," Roy said with a shrug. "Why?" The four gods looked at him in surprise. "Because there's something wrong with this duel." "Wrong?" "Yes. Roy nodded, then turned to Ryan. You're not the real vermilion bird elementalist, are you? Oh. You saw through me? Ryan, who had been silent until now, suddenly smiled slyly. Ryan? The renowned four gods, defeated so easily? How pathetic. If it were me, I wouldn't have the shame to face my people back home. What did you say? Xiaofu glared at Ryan, and Rao frowned. Ryan wasn't usually so provocative. Ryan, watch your words. I won't allow you to insult your comrades. What are you smiling about? Ahahaha. Ryan's smile twisted into a sinister smirk. My apologies, princess. But you're all so foolish. Not only her words but even her tone of voice had changed. Ryan? The four gods stared at her in disbelief. Even Claire and the others were shocked. Roy, what's going on? Claire tugged at his sleeve. That's not a member of the four gods. She's an imposter. Someone must have instigated this duel between us and the four gods, Roy explained, stroking his chin. What? Really? The girls gasped. Just then, Ryan's form began to distort and shift like a mirage. When the illusion faded, a beautiful girl with flamboyant attire and a seductive aura was revealed. You're Strawhat, the Witch of the Inferno. Xiaofu exclaimed, immediately summoning her elemental waff. You witch! What did you do to Ryan? Linfa demanded. I took care of that disobedient rat long ago. Well, I couldn't kill her without being disqualified, so I spared her life, Strawhat replied with a sneer. You wretch! You've been deceiving us since yesterday's meeting? Xiaofu roared, her divine tiger fangs crackling with energy. We'll play again next time. Strawhat giggled, then snapped her fingers. A horde of grotesque creatures emerged from the forest. Hundreds of demonic spirits, their fangs bared and their eyes glowing with malice, surrounded them. And then, using some unknown method, Strawhat broke free from Roy's ice prison. What? She summoned so many demonic spirits. This is bad. Claire exclaimed, her face pale. The four gods were also terrified. Although Roy had released them from the ice, they were still frozen in fear. Trying to escape in front of me? Roy scoffed, snapping his fingers. All the demonic spirits were instantly annihilated by a surge of his magic. And Strawhat was bound by his magic and dragged back to them. Strawhat stared at Roy in shock. What kind of power was this? She couldn't even move a finger. You must be one of Ren's, Rubia. Subordinates, Roy said, stroking his chin. Humph. I am the princess of Alpha's theocracy. I was just cooperating with her, Strawhat retorted, glaring at him. Roy frowned. Rubia knew he was on Team Scarlet. She shouldn't have sent someone to instigate a fight between them and the four gods. Was this Strawhat acting on her own, or was someone else behind this? Ren, come out now, Roy called out, looking towards a large tree. As expected of the Mausama. Nothing escapes your notice, Rubia said, emerging from behind the tree, her crimson mask concealing her face. What's going on? Roy asked, holding up Strawhat. I have a cooperative relationship with Alpha's theocracy. This girl acted on her own, Rubia explained. I see. Roy nodded, then tossed Strawhat towards Rubia. Take her away. Yes, Mausama. Rubia didn't waste any time and left with Strawhat. This incident had occurred because Ryan Sharma had been defeated by Strawhat while scouting the Inferno's base. Strawhat's contracted spirit was a formless, humanoid puppet, the demonic spirit, Chaos Eater. It was said to be one of the 72 spirits Solomon had once commanded. Now, it was a snake of Alpha's theocracy, a sealed spirit specifically prepared for Strawhat to use in the blade dance. Chaos Eater had the ability to shapeshift. If it captured someone's shadow, even for a moment, it could perfectly mimic their appearance and even utilize their contracted spirit's powers. That's how Strawhat had managed to impersonate Ryan without being detected. Her goal was to instigate a fight between the four gods and Team Scarlet. Thank you, Night Demon King, Linfa said, approaching Roy. If it weren't for you, we might have been wiped out. It's no problem. But it would be better if you could call me by my name, Roy replied with a chuckle. I heard that the Night Demon King collects the first kiss of those he defeats. Linfa said, then closed her eyes and tilted her head up. Go ahead. I'm ready. Princess, let me do it. Yes, how can we let our princess be defiled? Let us take your place. The girls of the four gods stepped forward, offering themselves to Roy. Roy was speechless. So that's how the rumor spread, he muttered. Claire and the others were embarrassed. They had likely contributed to the spread of this rumor. After clearing up the misunderstanding, Roy sent the four gods away. For the next few days, Team Scarlet continued to hunt for magic stones. Once they had collected enough, they stopped actively seeking out other teams. Unfortunately for Milla, who had joined their alliance, the number of magic stones she had obtained was limited. It was unlikely she would reach the top 4. The 7-day elimination round of the Blade Dance finally ended. Roy and his team left the battlefield. They were teleported back to the main hall of the Divine Ritual Institute. Team Scarlet had collected a total of 19 magic stones. They had successfully advanced to the finals in 4th place. The girls, who were usually bickering, erupted in cheers and hugged each other. The 3rd place team was the Dragon Knights, led by Leonora Lancaster. The 2nd place team was the Silent Fortress, led by Valseria. And the 1st place team, as expected, was the Inferno, led by Rubia Elstian. They had reportedly defeated 9 teams and collected over 50 magic stones. Roy and his team could have easily taken 1st place, but he was too lazy to bother. Team Scarlet rented out the entire La Pâtisserie shop to celebrate their victory. Valseria and Lux also joined the celebration with their teams. Even the girls from the four gods were present. Milla, who had been abandoned by her country after her team's defeat, was also there, now as Roy's maid. Roy had taken her in. Congratulations to Team Scarlet for reaching the finals. Rias offered her congratulations with a smile. They had been watching the matches from the audience. They found this tournament, similar to a rating game, quite entertaining. It was a piece of cake. With me on the team, victory was inevitable. Claire declared proudly, flipping her pigtails. Hey, don't act like you did it all on your own. You always assign me to support roles. I want to fight on the front lines too. There's no logic in sending a sniper to the front lines. Claire retorted. You're all so weak. If I had participated, my pumpkin could have wiped out all the other teams, mine bragged. No, if my Garridos had been there, those sheltered flowers would have been scared stiff, Saya countered. The girls started arguing. Roy sighed. By the way, what are your plans now? He asked Claire and the others. The finals were in 2 days. They had some time to rest and prepare. I have to report to my grandfather and father about reaching the finals, Ellis announced. That's right. Ellis is from a prestigious military family, Roy said with a smile. I also have to meet with my parents, Rinslet added. Although they should technically report to their families before attending the celebration, they had chosen to celebrate first. By the way, how is that matter I asked you to handle, Rias? Roy suddenly asked. He had asked Rias and the others to retrieve Rinslet's sister, Judia, who had been sealed by the Wind Elemental Lord. Don't worry, we've already brought her here, Rias replied with a smile. They had retrieved Judia days ago. Roy. Rinslet looked at him expectantly. Don't worry, Rinslet. I'll return your sister to you safe and sound, Roy assured her. After the banquet, Roy personally unsealed Judia, fulfilling his promise to Rinslet. Chapter 134, New Servants, return to the underworld, visiting Sona. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. A shrine maiden led Roy and his team through the forest. Due to the unique nature of the teleportation magic used for the final round, they wouldn't be departing from the main hall. Instead, four smaller shrines scattered throughout the forest would transport the teams to the arena. After enjoying their last breakfast at the castle, they gathered in the hall. They met with the shrine maiden assigned to guide them and walked towards a nearby shrine. Roy. Someone tugged at his sleeve. He turned around and saw a girl with wavy brown hair and heterochromatic eyes, dressed in a cute maid outfit. It was Milla Bassett. Having lost her position as the leader of the Rupture Division, she was now Roy's personal maid. "Milla, what's wrong?" Roy asked. "Please, come back safely," Milla pleaded. "Don't worry, I'll win and return," Roy reassured her, patting her head. Milla blushed and lowered her head. "Don't worry, everyone. The match will be over soon," Roy said to the others with a smile. "Humph. Who's worried about you?" "We're more worried about those innocent girls." "Yeah, Roy is the Night Demon King, after all." "No, he's a Demon King even during the day." "Saya, mine," and the others teased him. Roy sighed. He would deal with them later. "Everyone, the Shrine Maiden is here." "Let's go," Claire announced. "Okay." Team Scarlet bid farewell to Milla and the others, then followed the Shrine Maiden. They walked through the forest, chatting amongst themselves. After about 10 minutes. "We're here." The Shrine Maiden stopped before a small shrine in the forest. She opened the door, revealing 5 faintly glowing magic circles on the stone floor. The rules for this round were similar to the previous one, a magic stone battle royale. However, this time, the teams would be separated and teleported to different locations. The Shrine Maiden solemnly recited a prayer, and the magic circles activated. The 4 finalist teams were transported to the arena. Roy didn't waste any time. After finding Claire and the others, he led them through the forest, systematically eliminating the Dragon Knights, the Silent Fortress team, and the Inferno team. They emerged victorious, winning the Blade Dance. They were then led by a Shrine Maiden to meet the 4 Elemental Lords. The Elemental Lords were on the verge of being consumed by the otherworld darkness. Although Roy could have reabsorbed the darkness, it wouldn't change the fact that the Elemental Lords had brought disaster upon the human world. Therefore, Roy eliminated the Elemental Lords. He then sealed the path between the human world and the Elemental Spirit world. This fulfilled Rubia's wish for a world without Elemental Lords. Roy wasn't sure if this would truly end all wars between humans, but he didn't care. His actions shocked the entire continent. The Demon Lord had effortlessly defeated the rulers of the world, the Elemental Lords. Just as everyone thought he would claim dominion over the world, Roy returned to Arishiya Spirit Academy with his entourage. In a grand hall within the academy, Roy sat on a throne, with Rias and the others standing beside him. Before them stood Claire and her team, as well as the other teams that had participated in the Blade Dance. Team Lux, the Inferno team, the 4 gods, the Dragon Knights, and the Holy Spirit Knights. Roy intended to make them all his servants. "Will you become elemental princesses and serve the Demon Lord?" he asked, his voice filled with authority. "What? The Demon Lord wants us to be elemental princesses? Even if he's the Night Demon King, I accept. If we become elemental princesses serving the Demon Lord, he'll definitely ask us to do those kinds of things, right?" The girls chattered excitedly. Elemental princesses were the highest-ranking elementalists, serving the Elemental Lords directly. Now, they had a chance to ascend to such a position. It was an incredible opportunity. After all, Roy was the Demon Lord who had conquered the world. No one could defy him. Moreover, many of the girls admired him after witnessing his power in the Blade Dance. Roy looked at Claire and her team. "I want to become Roy's elemental princess," Fianna declared without hesitation. She had already given herself to Roy. This wouldn't change. She would serve him forever. "We're willing too." Claire, Ellis, and Rinslet agreed, despite their blushes. Roy nodded in satisfaction, then turned to the other girls. "The Inferno team also want to serve the Demon Lord," Rubia declared respectfully. The other teams also expressed their willingness to serve him. Roy smirked and waved his hand, summoning a multitude of evil pieces. The pieces floated before the girls. "Accept this power, and you shall become servants of the Demon Lord." The girls didn't hesitate. Claire and her team grabbed the evil pieces, followed by the other girls. A bright light enveloped them. All the girls were successfully transformed into devils. Roy then turned his attention to Greyworth and Freya. Greyworth's eyes widened in surprise and delight. Having made a wish for eternal youth, she naturally didn't want to die. Now, Roy was offering her a chance at immortality. She wouldn't refuse. Greyworth and Freya also became devils. As for Valseria's teammates from the Silent Fortress, Rias took them as her pawns. Each of the 4 girls received 2 pawn pieces. Roy didn't stay any longer. After making the necessary arrangements, he left the world of Blade Dance of Elementalers with his entourage. Underworld. Lucifuge territory. A flash of light filled the training room as Roy and the girls materialized. "We're finally back." Aja cheered. She was happy to be home. That was quite a long vacation. But we're finally back. It felt like we were gone for a long time. Wow, is this the Demon Lord's world? It's amazing. Claire and the others looked around curiously. The door to the training room opened. "Welcome back, Roy," Grafia greeted them with a smile. She had clearly noticed their absence. "We're back, sis," Roy replied calmly. He wasn't surprised that Grafia had noticed. She was a peak Mao after all. The entire territory was under her surveillance. And he didn't intend to hide it from her any longer. After all, Rias and the others already knew. It was strange that his own sister was still in the dark. "I'll arrange your rooms," Grafia said, not asking any questions. She led Claire and the others away. That night, Roy told his sister about his ability to travel between worlds. Grafia was surprised but didn't pry. She simply reminded him to keep it a secret. Roy understood. The next day, after the girls had settled in, Roy arranged for a devil instructor to teach them about etiquette, knowledge, and the customs of the underworld. After all, Claire and the others were new to this world. A week later, Roy took Rias and the others to the Citri territory. He had promised Sona he would visit her. They arrived at noon. Tsubaki Shinra led them to Sona, who had just finished her training. "Sona, we're here." "Roy, Rias, you've come." After exchanging greetings, Roy and Sona discussed their training experiences. "By the way, Sona, how was your training?" Sona smiled. "It was quite fruitful. And I even recruited a new servant." She gestured towards a sleepy-looking girl. Roy and the others looked at the girl. She had blue hair styled in pigtails, large golden eyes, and a petite, adorable figure. She seemed a bit airhead but was undeniably cute. "Greetings, Roy-sama," she mumbled nervously. "Her name is Benia. She's a half-devil, the daughter of a Grim Reaper, and she's now my knight," Sona explained, glancing at Rias with a smug grin. Roy remembered her. In the original story, Benia was the daughter of Orcus, the highest-ranking Grim Reaper. She possessed power surpassing a middle-class devil and had a straightforward personality. She had defected from the Grim Reapers due to her disapproval of Hades's actions. "Pleased to meet you, Benia," Roy greeted her with a smile. Rias, seeing Sona's smug expression, was annoyed. She summoned Valseria and the others with a wave of her hand. "Eh? Bucho?" Valseria and the others were confused. They had been attending lessons with the devil instructor. "Sona, let me introduce my servants. This is Valseria, my rook, and this is..." Rias began, introducing her peerage with a smile. "See, Sona? I have more servants than you now," she finished with a playful wink. The two of them had always been competitive when it came to their peerages. Previously, Sona had always had more servants. After all, Rias only had Akino and Kaneko. But now, Rias had surpassed her, and she couldn't resist showing off. "What? How did you get so many servants so quickly? Sona asked in disbelief, staring at Velsaria and the others. She knew about Zenobia and Irina. She had even been a bit envious when they joined Rias's peerage. But she hadn't expected Rias to gain so many new servants in just a week. It seemed her peerage was complete now. Indeed, Rias's peerage was full. After recruiting Velsaria and her 4 teammates, she had filled all her rook and pawn positions. Her 2 knights were Zenobia and Irina. And her 2 bishops were Kyome and Milla. Yes, Milla Bassett, the leader of the Rupture division. Roy had initially brought her back as a maid, but Rias had convinced her to become her bishop. Sona couldn't help but feel envious as she looked at Rias's peerage. She was still missing a rook. Ha ha! Rias giggled, enjoying Sona's shocked reaction. She had finally surpassed her. Roy, watching their exchange, sighed inwardly. They were acting like children, competing over something so trivial. Did you recruit them during your training trip? Sona suddenly realized. When they had returned on the train, Rias's peerage was still incomplete. But within a week, she had filled all the positions. It was only natural for Sona to assume she had recruited them during their trip. That's right, Sona. It's a shame you didn't come with us, Rias said, feigning sympathy. It was true. If Sona had joined them in the world of blade dance of elementalers, she could have easily filled her peerage and strengthened her servants. Sona was filled with regret. She shouldn't have agreed to her sister's training regimen. Roy, you'll take me with you next time, right? Sona asked, approaching Roy. If you agree, I'll let you do anything you want to me, she added seductively. Roy was surprised by her boldness. Sona was usually so composed and proper. Sona, that's not fair. Rias protested. What's wrong with that? Roy already promised to make me his fiancé too, Sona retorted. Well, I did promise, Roy admitted with a chuckle. Chapter 135, Sarah Fall, Miss Me, The Young Devils Gathering. By the way, isn't the Young Devils Gathering happening soon? Sona suddenly asked. Yes, it is. It's a gathering organized by Oni-sama to promote friendship among devils, Rias confirmed. You've been invited too, haven't you, Sona Kaishu? Akino asked with a playful smile. Indeed. Sona nodded, adjusting her glasses. Then let's all go together, Roy suggested. Sure. Sona and Rias readily agreed. Roy Kuan. Sarah Fall suddenly entered the room, her eyes lighting up as she saw him. Yo, Sarah Fall, Roy greeted her with a wave. Tsubaki and the others frowned, hearing him address Sarah Fall so casually. After all, she was a Mao. Roy Kuan, are you here to see me? Sarah Fall asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Yes, Roy replied after a moment of hesitation. Yay! Sarah Fall squealed and leaped into his arms. Roy was dumbfounded. When had he become so close to Sarah Fall? Even Sona was surprised. She hadn't expected her sister, who usually clung to her, to embrace Roy instead. Roy instinctively patted Sarah Fall's head, and she nuzzled his hand affectionately. Sona and her peerage were astonished. Ever since their discussion about magical girls, Sarah Fall had developed a fondness for Roy. He was the first person who had ever discussed magical girls with her so seriously, and she felt a sense of camaraderie with him. Moreover, Roy had introduced her to Madoka Magica, a magical girl anime unlike any she had seen before. By the way, were you just talking about the Young Devils Gathering? Sarah Fall asked, pulling away from Roy. Yes, we were, Roy confirmed. As the advisor of the Occult Research Club, I'll be taking you all with me, Sarah Fall declared, her hands on her hips. Roy and Rias exchanged exasperated glances. Yes, we'll follow your lead, Sensei, Roy said with a sigh. The next day, Sarah Fall led them to the Mao territory where the gathering would be held. However, she left as soon as they arrived. As a Mao, she had many responsibilities. Roy only brought Siko, Esteth, and a few others as his representatives. After all, his peerage was far too large. To avoid unnecessary gossip, it was better to keep a low profile. After a 3-hour train ride, they arrived at the Mao territory. The station and platform were modern, with even vending machines available. It resembled a typical modern city. What an amazing city! It's just like Kou Town, Asia exclaimed, looking around with wide eyes. It's so much more convenient than Arishiya Spirit Academy, Velsaria commented, impressed by the modern infrastructure. We'll be taking the subway next. It might cause quite a commotion, Rias said with a giggle. Except for Roy and Sona, the girls were confused. But they soon understood. Ah! It's Princess Rias. She's so beautiful. Princess Rias, look over here. Roy-sama, I love you. As soon as they entered the subway station, they were greeted with excited screams and cheers. The devils on the platform looked at Rias with admiration. And some even cheered for Roy and Sona. Since this was Surzex's territory, most of them recognized Rias. They were quickly surrounded by enthusiastic fans. However, the station staff soon arrived to maintain order. They boarded the subway. After a 5-minute ride, they arrived at the venue. Young devils and high-ranking members of various clans would be gathering here. Welcome. Please follow me, a maid greeted them, leading them towards the main hall. They followed the maid, but they encountered a familiar face in the hallway. Yo, Sarorg. Roy greeted him with a wave and a smile. The newcomer was around their age, with short black hair and a muscular build. It was Sarorg Bale, the leader of the young devils. It's been a while, Roy, Rias, Sona, Sarorg greeted them, shaking Roy's hand. His eyes then lit up as he saw Estef and the other girls behind Roy. Roy, are these your servants? He asked. Yes, they are. Then it seems it's time for our raiding game, Sarorg declared, his eyes filled with fighting spirit. Sure, why not? Roy replied casually. If Sarorg wanted to be beaten, he would oblige. Sarorg's fighting spirit intensified. Pleased to meet you. I am Sarorg Bale, the next head of the Bale clan, he introduced himself to the girls. Pleased to meet you. I am Estef, Roy's queen, Estef replied with a smile, her eyes assessing Sarorg like a predator sizing up its prey. Sarorg's excitement grew. He could sense that this queen was incredibly powerful. Roy and Sarorg continued chatting as they walked. Boom! Suddenly, the building shook violently, and a loud crash echoed from a nearby room. What was that? It sounded close. Rias and the others exclaimed in surprise. Sarorg sighed. Honestly, I told them there was no need for a welcoming party. He headed towards the room where the commotion originated. Roy and the others exchanged glances and followed him. Sarorg opened the door to the room. It was a complete mess. Tables, chairs, and decorations were overturned and broken. Two groups of young devils glared at each other, their weapons drawn. Zephyrdor, are you planning to start a fight here? Do you want to die? I doubt the higher-ups would blame me if I killed you, a girl with glasses and long hair from one of the groups said coldly. Ha ha ha. You bitch, I was trying to be nice and invite you to a private room for a chat. How ungrateful. As expected of an Agar's girl, you're so uptight. You're still a virgin, aren't you? I can't stand it. That's why I offered to help you out, a young man with green hair and tattoos taunted. He was dressed in a revealing outfit, his pants adorned with numerous jingling accessories. He looked like a delinquent, and his words were crude and vulgar. Sarorg cracked his knuckles and stepped between the two groups. That's enough. Sikvera Agars, and Zephyrdor, the problem child of the Glaciolapolis clan. Who are you calling a problem child? If you dare say another word. Zephyrdor snarled. Although this is sudden, consider this your final warning. If you continue this pointless squabble, I'll be your opponent, Sarorg declared, his voice filled with authority. But his words only enraged Zephyrdor further. You incompetent Bale. Bam! Before Zephyrdor could finish his insult, Serorg punched him, sending him flying towards Roy. Roy casually swatted Zephyrdor back with a slap. Serorg, you did that on purpose, didn't you? Roy accused, his arms crossed. He couldn't believe Serorg had sent Zephyrdor flying in their direction. Sorry. Serorg apologized with a sheepish grin. He was probably trying to test Roy's strength. Roy shrugged. Zephyrdor, meanwhile, was embedded in the wall, unconscious. No one paid him any attention. They were all stunned by Serorg and Roy's power. Zephyrdor, the heir to the Glaciolabilas clan, was considered a strong young devil. Yet, he had been defeated without any resistance. Take your master and leave. That's what you should be doing. Pointing your weapons at me won't do you any good, Roy said to Zephyrdor's servants, who had drawn their swords. Zephyrdor's servants quickly sheathed their weapons. They didn't want to fight these monsters. They helped Zephyrdor to his feet and left. The devils in the hall erupted in chatter. They're so strong. As expected of the leader of the 5 young kings. Hey, have you been living under a rock? There are 6 young kings now. What? 6? Who's the new one? That guy beside Serorg. He's the one who easily defeated Riser Phoenix and became one of the young kings. What's his name? He's the younger brother of the Annihilation Queen, the heir to the Lucifuge clan. The young devils quickly learned about Roy. Although many admired him, others scoffed at him. You're in no state to attend this gathering. Go and clean yourself up, Serorg said to Sikvera, then instructed his servants to have the staff repair the damaged hall. A group of staff members arrived and quickly restored the hall to its original state using magic. The young devils gathered once again, exchanging greetings and introductions. I am Sikvera Agars, the next head of the Agars clan, Sikvera said, approaching their table and taking a seat. They all introduced themselves. Greetings, I am Rias Gremory, the next head of the Gremory clan. I am Sona Citri, the next head of the Citri clan. I am Roy Lucifuge, the next head of the Lucifuge clan, Roy said casually. I am Serorg Bale, the next head of the Bale clan, Serorg declared with a confident grin. Then, a gentle-looking boy who had remained calm throughout the earlier commotion spoke up. I am Diodora Astaroth, the next head of the Astaroth clan. Pleased to meet you all, he said with a friendly smile. He seemed like someone who wouldn't hurt a fly, but he was still a devil. Diodora, you have the nerve to show your face before me, Roy sneered at Diodora. Diodora's eyes flashed with a hint of malice. He hadn't forgotten the incident at the engagement party. But he maintained his smile. Roy, that was just a misunderstanding. There's no need to hold a grudge, is there? The weak should know their place. Picking a fight with someone stronger is just asking for trouble, Mine interjected coldly before Roy could speak. How dare a mere servant speak out of turn? It seems the Lucifuge clan has no manners. One of Diodora's servants snarled at Mine. But before he could finish his sentence, boom! He was sent flying, crashing into the wall and losing consciousness. Silence fell over the hall. No one had expected Roy to suddenly attack. Diodora's eyes widened in shock as he felt a cold sweat. He hadn't even sensed Roy's attack until his servant was struck. If Roy had targeted him, he would have been defenseless. My apologies, Roy-sama. My servant was disrespectful. I'll discipline him properly, Diodora said with a forced smile. Roy scoffed. He knew Diodora well. He was like a venomous snake, waiting for the right moment to strike. But the moment he revealed his fangs, it would be his doom. Get out of my sight. Or I'll throw you out, Roy threatened. Diodora's expression flickered with rage and humiliation, but he didn't retaliate. In the end, he left the hall with his servants, defeated. The young devils were abuzz with gossip. They couldn't believe that Diodora, the heir to the Astaroth clan, was so afraid of Roy. Chapter 136, Sona Citri Dream, 4 Great Satans are here. Astaroth, if I remember correctly, that's a prestigious family descended from the current Beelzebub-sama, isn't it? Sarord commented. Doesn't matter. He's just a small fry. If he causes any trouble, I'll crush him, Roy said dismissively, as if talking about squashing an ant. I heard he's a despicable person who enjoys torturing nuns, Sona added, adjusting her glasses. She knew about Diodora's attempt to defile Asia and had investigated him afterward. She was disgusted by his actions. I see. Sarord finally understood why Roy had reacted so harshly towards Diodora. They chatted casually. The official event hadn't started yet. This was just a gathering for the young devils. Soon, the doors opened, and servants entered the hall. Thank you for waiting. The leaders are ready to see you now. The young devils followed the servants to the main hall. The leaders of the underworld were seated on a raised platform: Surzex, Seraphal, Falbium, and Ajuka. All 4 new Satans were present. The hall was filled with devils, but it was surprisingly quiet. Welcome. We've gathered you young devils here today to formally acknowledge your presence and to provide an opportunity for you to interact with each other, a middle-aged devil announced. It seems some have already started fighting. Another devil, with a full beard, commented sarcastically. He was clearly referring to the earlier incident with Zephyrdor and Diodora. Siko and the other girls glared at him. You are all promising young devils with impressive lineage and strength. Therefore, I hope you can use this opportunity to spar with each other and improve yourselves before your official debut, Surzex declared. He was suggesting that they hold rating games to assess their strength. Will we be sent to fight the Cows Brigade in the future? Sarorg suddenly asked. The underworld wasn't at peace with other factions. There were still conflicts in some regions. It was possible that these young devils would be sent to the battlefield. That's not certain yet. But I intend to avoid that as much as possible, Surzex replied. Sarorg frowned. Why? Even though we're young, we have a responsibility to protect the underworld. We've been nurtured and raised by our predecessors. If we can't do anything in return. Sarorg, I admire your courage, but you are the future of the devils. I won't send you to the battlefield before you've matured. That would be jeopardizing the future of the underworld. Sarorg fell silent, seemingly accepting Surzex's explanation, though his expression still showed dissatisfaction. The 4 Satans then discussed various matters concerning the underworld. Roy was bored and almost fell asleep. Well, we apologize for making you listen to our rambling for so long, Surzex said, noticing Roy's yawn. Now then, please share your goals for the future. Surzex looked at Roy expectantly. He was clearly interested in Roy's ambitions. My dream is to become a Mao, Sarord declared with unwavering determination. The 4 Satans nodded in approval. Then, Riaz stepped forward. My goal is to win every rating game tournament, she declared. So that's her goal, Roy thought, stroking his chin. Having assembled her peerage, she wanted to prove herself in rating games. Sona then spoke up. My goal is to establish a rating game school in the underworld. It seemed like a simple wish, just establishing a school. But the devil elders frowned. There are already places to learn about rating games, aren't there? One of them asked. You mean those schools that are only accessible to high-class devils and those with special privileges? I want to create a school where everyone, regardless of rank, can learn about rating games. A school without discrimination, Sona explained. Ha 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 ha. The elders burst into laughter. What a ridiculous goal. So you're a dreamer, are you? Such youthful idealism. But I didn't expect the next head of the Citri clan to have such a naive dream. It's a good thing this is just a casual gathering before your official debut. The elders mocked Sona mercilessly. Why were they ridiculing such a seemingly simple goal? Because even though the underworld was undergoing reforms, the class divisions between high-class, middle and low-class, and reincarnated devils still existed. Many still clung to this aristocratic system. But Sona remained unfazed. I'm serious, she declared, her gaze unwavering. Seraphol nodded vigorously in support, but as a Mao, she couldn't openly express her support for her sister. Sona Citri-san, low and middle class and reincarnated devils are meant to serve high-class devils. Their talents are nurtured through serving their masters. That is the natural order. Establishing such an institution would damage the reputation of those who value tradition and pride. Even though the underworld is undergoing reforms, there are things that can be changed and things that cannot. Trying to educate those lowly devils. The elders continued their taunts. Sona, despite her resolve, couldn't help but feel discouraged. Even her sister, who usually doted on her, remained silent. But just then, ha 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 ha, a boisterous laughter echoed through the hall. It was Roy. He was laughing without any regard for the Satans or the elders, as if he had just heard the funniest joke. The elders glared at him, ready to reprimand him for his disrespect, when Surzex spoke up. Roy, do you have something to say? Surzex valued Roy as his brother-in-law. And when he saw Roy earlier, he realized he couldn't see through Roy's power anymore. As a super devil, there were very few individuals in the underworld whose strength he couldn't gauge. And Roy was one of them. This meant his brother-in-law was now on par with him in terms of power. The elders, hearing Surzex's question, fell silent. From what I know, the underworld has always been a place where strength reigns supreme. This noble rules nonsense is hilarious, Roy scoffed. You're naive, young man. To disregard the long-established rules of the underworld is outrageous. The Lucifuge family is truly arrogant. The elders glared at Roy, their anger palpable. The aristocratic system represented the pride and interests of all devil nobles. Roy's words were a direct challenge to them. Sona stared at him in surprise and gratitude. She hadn't expected him to defend her. But she was also worried. Is that so? Then how do you think the underworld should change? Surzex asked, silencing the elders once again. They were surprised that Surzex would ask a young devil for his opinion on such a matter. But none of them objected. That was the authority of a Satan. Well, if strength is what matters, then anyone with enough power, regardless of whether they're a low-class devil or a reincarnated devil, should be able to rise to middle class, high class, or even ultimate class, Roy declared. His words stunned everyone. They hadn't expected such a radical idea. If things really changed as he suggested, the underworld could descend into chaos. Low-class and reincarnated devils with power would develop ambitions of their own. However, it would also greatly increase the overall strength of the underworld. But only the four Satans and a few others understood this. Implementing such reforms would be incredibly difficult. Not only the old Satan faction but also most of those present would oppose it. How about this? If my Sona wins a rating game, would you all agree? After all, good performance in rating games can lead to many things, Seraphol suddenly suggested, surprising everyone. She couldn't resist supporting her beloved sister. Seeing Roy defend Sona, she had decided to speak up as well. And it was also a way to help Roy out of this precarious situation. Honestly, all of you are ganging up on my Sona-chan. I have my limits too. If you keep bullying her, I'll bully you right back. Seraphol declared, pouting playfully. But her words made the elders nervous. She was known for her unpredictable nature. If they angered her, who knew what she might do? Seeing that the elders were silent, Surzex chuckled. Alright then, let's have a match. A rating game between the young generation. Rias, Sona, how about you two face each other? Everyone was stunned. Rias and Sona exchanged surprised glances. Surzex continued, ignoring their reactions, I was planning to arrange a rating game for Rias soon anyway. And Seraphol has gathered rating game enthusiasts from various factions to watch an exhibition match between the young devils before their official debut. So, this is the perfect opportunity. Let's have Rias and Sona face each other. The devils in the hall erupted in excitement. Roy glanced at Seraphol. So this exhibition match was her doing. She wanted Sona to defeat Rias? Unfortunately for her, Rias's strength was far greater than before. Sona took a deep breath and looked at Rias with a challenging smile. Rias smiled back. She was confident in her victory. Although it's not an official match, facing you in my first rating game feels like destiny, Sona, Rias declared. I won't lose to you, Rias, Sona retorted. Sparks flew between them. A match between Rias and Sona. This is exciting. Serafal cheered. The date will be August 20th in the human world. You're free to do as you please until then. We'll inform you of the details later, Surzex announced. And with that, the meeting concluded, and the Satans left. A banquet followed, where the young devils could mingle and socialize. Sona, however, left first. She knew that with her current strength, she couldn't defeat Rias. It was currently July 28th in the human world. They had about 20 days until the match. She would use this time to train her peerage and increase their strength. Rias, however, insisted that Roy and the others stay. She claimed it was a good opportunity for them to interact with the other young devils. Just as Roy was starting to get bored, a girl approached him. She had golden twin-tails that resembled drills and wore a pink dress. She was elegant and adorable. It was Revel Phoenix. A long time no see, Revel greeted him, curtsying slightly. Revel. Roy greeted her with a smile. Don't call me so casually. Revel grumbled, her face turning red. You can call me Roy too, Roy offered. Really? Then. I'll call you Roy-sama. Sama? There's no need to be so formal. No, it's important. Revel insisted. Roy shrugged, not wanting to argue. By the way, how is Riser doing? He asked. Revel sighed. It's all your fault. He's been depressed ever since his defeat. Losing to you and having Rias-sama taken away, it was a huge blow to him. Well, he was too arrogant and reliant on his talent. It's a good lesson for him. Chapter 137. Revel Phoenix offer, capturing Kuroka. Roy also disliked Riser, but he didn't envy him. He had already surpassed him. You're quite harsh, aren't you? Well, the deal is done. I'm Mother's servant now. Mother said she'd be happy to trade me again if I wanted to be someone else's servant. So, I'm practically a free agent. Besides, Mother doesn't participate in rating games anyway, Revel explained, glancing at Roy meaningfully. Was she hinting at something? Roy stroked his chin, then asked with a smile, so, how about becoming my bishop? What? Ravel's eyes widened in surprise. Although she had considered it, she was flustered by his directness. How can I? She stammered, her face flushed. Just kidding, Roy chuckled. Ravel's heart sank slightly. I understand, Roy-sama. Would you like to have tea with me next time? She asked. Oh. If you don't mind, I can even bake a cake for you. Sure, Roy agreed with a smile. I have to greet the other guests now. Goodbye, Roy-sama. Revel curtsied and quickly left. As expected of Roy, you've charmed another girl, Mine whispered in his ear. Are you jealous, Mine? Roy teased. No way. Mine turned away with a huff. Don't deny it. Or I'll show you what I can do. Roy tickled her sides. Ha ha ha. Mine burst into laughter, rolling around playfully. Asia, seeing them having fun, joined in. Just then, Kaneko rushed past them. She must have sensed her sister, Kuroka. You guys stay here. I'll go check on Kaneko-chan, Roy said, getting up and following Kaneko. Rias also followed him. Roy, what's wrong? Roy pulled her into an elevator and closed the door. I saw Kaneko rush out. I'm a bit worried, he explained. Then let's go find her together. Okay. They followed Kaneko. Wait, let's see who she's meeting first, Roy said, stopping Rias. Rias nodded. They discreetly followed Kaneko, who seemed to be searching for someone. Then, she stopped and looked towards a certain direction. Roy and Rias followed her gaze. "Long time no see," a lazy, seductive voice purred from a tree. A girl with black hair, cat ears, and a voluptuous figure was lounging on a branch. "Hello, Kaneko," the girl greeted her. "Koro-kanizan." Kaneko's voice was filled with apprehension. "Just a little bit of my aura, and you came running." "I'm so touched, Naya," Kuroka purred, her revealing outfit offering quite a view. "Nae-san, what's going on?" Kaneko asked, her expression serious. She knew her sister wouldn't appear here without a reason. "Don't look so scary. I just have some business to attend to. I heard the devils are having a grand gathering here." "I was curious, Naya," Kuroka replied with a playful wink. Kaneko frowned. She didn't believe her. "What's your real purpose?" "Kaneko, I'm here to take you with me. I was too busy running for my life before, so I couldn't take you with me." Kuroka hesitated. "Kuroka, are you going to continue ignoring those devils?" A young man suddenly appeared nearby. He carried an iron staff and wore a golden headband. This was Biko, a member of the Cow's Brigade. "Those of us who know Senjutsu can easily sense the flow of energy and know what's happening," Biko said, looking towards Roy and Rias's hiding spot. Roy and Rias stepped out. They hadn't been hiding seriously. Biko and Kuroka wouldn't have been able to detect them otherwise. "It's him." Biko's eyes widened as he recognized Roy. "Yo, Biko, long time no see," Roy greeted him with a smile. Kuroka looked at Roy curiously. "Biko, do you know him?" "Well, we've met. He's the one who defeated Valley twice." "What? He's Roy?" Kuroka gasped, staring at Roy in surprise. They knew how strong Valley was. They considered him the strongest among the young generation. But recently, he had been defeated twice by the same person. And each time, his injuries were more severe than before. He still hadn't fully recovered. That's how they learned about a young devil named Roy. The Cow's Brigade had a rule: avoid Roy Lucifuge at all costs. They hadn't expected to encounter him here. "Kuroka, we should retreat. This could be troublesome," Biko whispered to Kuroka. "No, I have to take Kaneko with me today," Kuroka insisted. This was the perfect opportunity to take Kaneko away. "Kuroka, Kaneko is my servant." "I won't let you take her," Rias declared, crossing her arms. "What are you saying? Kaneko is my little sister. I won't hand her over to a devil." Kuroka retorted. "I'm a servant of the Gremory clan." "I won't go with you, Nae-san," Kaneko said, her gaze firm. "Then I'll have to take you by force," Kuroka sighed. "Kuroka, are you really going to fight them?" Biko asked, exasperated. "Of course. I'm taking Kaneko with me." "Ahem, if you want to take Kaneko, you'll have to go through me," Roy interjected with a smile. Kuroka and Biko looked at him warily. In the original story, Rias had been no match for Kuroka, and Biko had fought the Dragon King, Tannen, to a standstill. This meant they both possessed ultimate class. Kaneko, hearing Roy's words, was touched. But she refused his help. "Koro-kanizan, I won't go with you," she declared, her eyes filled with determination. A powerful aura erupted from her. Kaneko had formed a contract with a high-ranking earth elemental, a cat spirit, in the world of blade dance of elementalers. Her strength had reached the peak of high class. If she wasn't suppressing her senjutsu powers, she could even reach ultimate class. She was indeed talented. But even so, she couldn't defeat Kuroka. "Kaneko, you've unlocked your potential?" Kuroka looked at her sister in surprise. "But if you continue down this path, you'll end up like me." She was referring to the path of killing one's master and becoming a stray devil. But Kaneko was unfazed. "I won't be like you. My power isn't that kind of darkness." Kuroka knew that Kaneko's power was different from hers. She had just been trying to provoke her. Seeing that Kaneko wouldn't be swayed, Kuroka finally decided to fight. Naya, if you won't listen, Kaneko, then I'll have to take you by force. Kaneko didn't reply. She summoned her elemental waff, a pair of cat paw gauntlets. She then charged towards Kuroka. With the boost from her elemental waff, her punch was incredibly powerful. It struck Kuroka, sending a shockwave through the air. But before Kaneko could celebrate, Kuroka's body dissolved into smoke. That was a good punch. But useless. Creating illusions and clones is child's play with senjutsu. Kuroka's voice echoed through the forest, her location unknown. Kaneko couldn't find her. Kuroka suddenly appeared behind Kaneko and fired several magic blasts. Boom! 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 The blast struck Kaneko, who was caught off guard. But thanks to her Earth Spirit's protection, she wasn't injured. Earth Spirits were known for their defense and strength. Kaneko charged again. This time, Kuroka dodged her attacks, toying with her like a cat playing with a mouse. Roy, however, saw through her plan. A thin mist had silently enveloped the area. It was spreading, slowly approaching them. Kuroka stopped playing with Kaneko and used her senjutsu to restrain her. Well then, I'll be taking Kaneko now, she declared, looking at Roy and Rias with a smug grin. Kaneko is my family. I won't let you take her, Rias retorted, about to attack. What's this? But she suddenly felt weak. Era, have you noticed? This mist is a special poison that only affects devils and yokai. Surprised? Naya Kuroka gloated. She was confident that even Roy couldn't do anything against this poison. This little trick is useless against me, Roy chuckled, placing his hand on Rias's shoulder. In an instant, the poison was purged from her body. Such a weak poison had no effect on him. What? Kuroka and Biko gasped in shock. This poison had always been effective, yet it had no effect on Roy. Kuroka, you said you wanted to make amends with Kaneko. Then stay here, Roy declared. Kuroka and Biko immediately leaped into the air. An ice mountain erupted from the spot where they had been standing. If they had been a moment slower, they would have been frozen solid. It seems I can't take Kaneko with me. What a shame. Biko, let's retreat, Kuroka said to Biko. Finally. I told you we shouldn't fight them. Biko exclaimed, relieved. But just as he was about to teleport away. Secret art, Millennium Ice Prison. Roy chanted. Ice pillars formed from the moisture in the air, encasing Kuroka and Biko. Damn it! Biko slammed his staff against the ice, but it wouldn't budge. Kuroka also tried to use her senjutsu, but it was equally ineffective. I told you we shouldn't fight them. Biko grumbled. Even Valley had been defeated. He didn't want to face Roy. Complaining won't help now, Kuroka retorted with a glare. Don't bother struggling. You can't escape from the Millennium Ice Prison, Roy said with a smirk, then turned to Kaneko. Kaneko, do you want to keep Kuroka here and ask her about what happened all those years ago? Yes. Kaneko nodded. She also wanted to know the truth. Then this monkey is useless. Roy stroked his chin, then released Biko from the ice prison. Go back and tell Vala that I've taken Kuroka. If he wants her back, he can send Ophis herself, Roy instructed. Alright, I'll tell him, Biko agreed, then teleported away without another word. Roy approached Kuroka and patted her shoulder. Come with me. Don't try to escape. I've placed a spell on you. No matter where you run, I'll find you. He then walked towards Kaneko. Kuroka, hearing his words, abandoned any thoughts of escape. She didn't doubt him. Era, Kaneko, it seems we'll be together from now on, Naya, Kuroka said with a sigh, approaching her sister. Kuroka-Nizan, I want to know what happened back then, Kaneko said, her gaze serious. You already know, don't you? I killed my master because I gained too much power, Kuroka replied. No, that's not true. Kaneko shook her head, refusing to believe her. Chapter 138, Odin is here, Valkyrie Rosweiss, Rias vs. Sona. You don't have to hide it, Kuroka. Although the higher-ups tried to erase and conceal this incident, I've managed to uncover the truth, Roy declared. Kaneko and Kuroka looked at him in surprise. Roy-senpai, what's going on? Kaneko asked, her eyes filled with anticipation. Roy smiled and patted her head, then began to explain. It all started with a research facility run by a branch family of the House of Nibirius, the 72nd Pillar, where they were conducting secret experiments on creating super devils. A human researcher there had chosen a powerful nekashu, a type of yukai cat, for his experiment. He had a child with her, resulting in the birth of Kuroka and Kaneko. Their father saw them as nothing more than test subjects, completely absorbed in his research. One day, an experiment went wrong, and both parents died. The orphan sisters relied on each other for survival and were eventually adopted by a high-class devil. Recognizing their potential, he used 2 bishop evil pieces to reincarnate them as his servants. After becoming devils, their talent in magic and senjutsu blossomed. Their master continued his experiments, using extreme methods to try and awaken their potential. He even targeted Kaneko. To protect her sister, Kuroka killed their master and fled, becoming a stray devil. She fought off all pursuers and was labeled an SS-class threat. After her escape, the Nibirius family's secret experiments were discovered by the devil higher-ups, and the incident was covered up. Rias, hearing this story, hugged Kaneko tightly, her heart filled with sympathy. She also looked at Kuroka with newfound understanding. This was a sister who had sacrificed everything to protect her younger sibling. Nei-san. Kaneko broke free from Rias's embrace and looked at Kuroka with tears in her eyes. I ran away because I wasn't strong enough to protect you back then. But I'm strong now, and I have reliable comrades, Kuroka said, her gaze fixed on Kaneko. So, come with me, Kaneko. I'll protect you. Although she had her reasons, Kuroka still felt guilty for abandoning Kaneko. You can barely protect yourself. How can you protect Kaneko? Roy scoffed, shaking his head. I believe my comrades will come to save me, Kuroka replied confidently. Oh? You mean Valley? He was just a stepping stone. Roy said with a smirk. Even if Valley can't, we still have our leader, Ophis. You mean Ophis, the Ouroboros dragon? Rias asked in surprise. Yes. Kuroka nodded proudly. Then let her come, Roy said nonchalantly. He had been hoping Ophis would show up. That's why he had released Biko and told him to deliver a message to Valley, hoping to lure Ophis out. Even if Ophis didn't come personally, with Kuroka there, finding her wouldn't be a problem. Let's head back now, Roy said to Rias. Is it okay to just leave her like this? Rias asked, gesturing towards Kuroka. It's fine. She can't escape, Roy replied dismissively. His nonchalant attitude made Kuroka even more wary of acting rashly. They returned to the hall. Roy-sama, the Maus are waiting for you in the conference room, a servant informed them as soon as they entered. Another meeting? I should have left earlier, Roy grumbled. Roy, this is an invitation from the Maus. You have to be more serious, Rias chided playfully. Fine, Roy sighed. They went to the conference room. The leaders of the 3 factions were already present. Roy, you're finally here. Azazel greeted him with a friendly slap on the back. He was still grateful for Roy's help during the 3 factions peace conference. Who's this? Azazel noticed Kuroka and looked at her curiously. Oh, this is a prisoner I captured, Roy explained casually. That's Kuroka, an SS-class stray devil wanted by the underworld, isn't it? Michael interjected. Yes, Roy confirmed. So you were attacked by members of the Cows Brigade? Surzex asked. An attack by the Cows Brigade during a gathering hosted by the Maus was a serious provocation. You could say that, Roy replied with a shrug. She doesn't seem like a prisoner. She's quite relaxed, Azazel commented, observing Kuroka, who wasn't restrained in any way. Don't worry, she won't try anything funny with me around, Roy assured him. Just then, the door opened. A fallen angel cadre, Barakil, entered with an old man and a young girl. The old man had a single eye and a long white beard that reached the floor. He wore simple robes and carried a staff. The girl had white hair, wore a suit, and had two noticeable ahogue. The old man was actually Odin, the chief god of Norse mythology. And the girl was Rosweiss, a Valkyrie. Well, look who it is. The old geezer from the north, Azazel greeted Odin with a sneer. Long time no see, you fallen angel brat. It's interesting to see you all getting along so well. What are you scheming? Odin retorted. We're not like you old fogies, stuck in your outdated traditions and rivalries. We value self-improvement and progress, Azazel declared. Such a loser mentality. You're just a bunch of kids without a god. Can't you say anything original, old man? This looks like a children's playground. It's quite amusing. Surzek sighed, watching their bickering. It's been a while, Odin-sama, he greeted the Norse god. Surzex, I've come to observe the rating game, as you requested. But you have my sympathy. The heir to the original Lucifer's bloodline is the White Dragon Emperor, and he's a terrorist. The future of the devils doesn't look very bright, Odin said with a sly smile. Surzex didn't mind his taunts. As the chief god of the Norse pantheon, Odin was incredibly powerful. Odin then turned his attention to Sarafal. Sarafal, what's with that outfit? He asked, looking at her Madoka Magica costume. Odin-sama, don't you know? I'm a magical girl. Sarafal declared, striking a pose with a peace sign. So that's the latest fashion among young people. It looks quite good. Very good. Odin commented, nodding in approval. By the way, Odin-sama, who's this? Sarafal asked, curious about the girl behind him. Odin sighed. She's my current subordinate. She's quite beautiful, but her personality is too rigid. That's why she can't even find a boyfriend. His words made Rosweiss, the proud Valkyrie, burst into tears. Wah! Honestly, you're so serious all the time. That's why you can't attract any men, Odin scolded. I am a Valkyrie whose love life is as empty as my age. I want a boyfriend too. Wah! Rosweiss sobbed. Roy watched with amusement. So this Valkyrie with the two ahogue was his next rook, huh? Surzex, Sarafal, I heard the participants in this match are your relatives. Honestly, you two, forcing your beloved little sisters, who are also best friends, to fight each other, how cruel. As expected of devils, Odin remarked. If they can't even overcome such a trivial obstacle, there's no hope for the future of devils. Odin found a seat, then noticed Roy. Who's this young man? He asked curiously. Since only the leaders of the factions were seated at the table, Odin was naturally intrigued by Roy's presence. This is my brother-in-law, Roy Lucifuge, the next head of the Lucifuge clan, Surzex introduced him. Greetings, King Odin of the North, Roy said, standing up and offering a polite greeting. He was representing the devils, so some courtesy was necessary. But there was no need to be overly respectful. After all, Odin was a notorious lecher. I see. A young hero of the underworld, Odin commented, stroking his beard. Roy didn't mind his casual attitude and sat back down, petting Kenichi, who was on his lap. Now then, I didn't come here to chat. Let's get down to business, Odin declared. Surzex stood up and addressed everyone. Although the devils, angels, and fallen angels have formed an alliance, there are still those who seek war. Therefore, we will establish a peace treaty with King Odin of the Norse mythology. Odin-sama, if you have no objections, please sign the treaty with your fire emblem. Surzex gestured towards the treaty. Very well. Odin nodded and prepared to sign. But just then, I object. A voice echoed through the hall. A magic circle appeared, and a young man with white hair and a rebellious expression emerged. "I am Loki, a god of the north." "What a rare guest," Azazel chuckled. Except for the unaware devils below, Surzex and the others weren't surprised. They had anticipated Loki's interference. "I can't tolerate our chief god signing a treaty with other pantheons," Loki declared arrogantly. "Loki, return to Valhalla now, and I'll forgive your insolence," Odin commanded. "Forgive me? Don't be ridiculous. If we make peace with other pantheons, how can we achieve Ragnarok, the destined twilight of the gods? Come forth, my beloved pet." Loki summoned a giant wolf through a magic circle. It was Fenrir, the monstrous wolf of Norse mythology. Fenrir immediately targeted Isteth and the other girls. "He sees us as prey?" Isteth's eyes gleamed with a predatory light. She drew her rapier, which was formed from the water elemental lord, and slashed at Fenrir. Fenrir roared and lunged at her. But in a flash, Isteth appeared behind Fenrir. Fenrir yelped and collapsed, a massive wound appearing on its neck. The wound was instantly frozen, preventing any blood from spilling. Fenrir was no match for Isteth. The devils in the hall were shocked. They couldn't believe such a powerful wolf had been defeated so easily. Loki, seeing his familiar killed, was enraged. He raised his hand, summoning a magic circle and gathering his power. Secret art. 9 ice dragons. Isteth countered, extending her hand. 9 ice dragons materialized and converged on Loki. Crack! 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 Loki was encased in ice. After a year of training, Isteth had mastered this technique. Amazing! Rias exclaimed, envious of her power. Even Serord was shocked by Isteth's strength. He hadn't expected Roy's queen to be so powerful. But he wasn't discouraged. Instead, his blood boiled with excitement for their upcoming raiding game. "Odin, I'll leave Loki to you," Roy said casually, taking a sip of his tea. "Oh? Is this?" "Yes, she's my queen," Roy confirmed. Odin finally understood why Roy was sitting at the same table as them. After that minor interruption, Odin signed the treaty. "Now then, I'm also here to watch the raiding game. When will it be held?" Odin asked, not leaving immediately. "It's scheduled for 20 days from now." Surzex explained the details of the upcoming match. Chapter 139. The raiding game between Rias and Sona. The day of the decisive battle arrived. In the basement of the Gremory main house, a massive magic circle was prepared for transportation to the game arena. The raiding game between Rias and Sona was about to begin, and Rias and her peerage gathered at the magic circle. "Rias, you have to win. Fight a battle worthy of the next head of the Gremory clan. And the same goes for all of you. Rias Neeson, good luck. Go, Rias." Rias's parents and Namikaze cheered for her. Roy, watching the scene, couldn't help but smile. This was a battle with a predictable outcome. Rias's team had an overwhelming advantage over Sona's. Not only was Rias an ultimate class herself, but Akino and the others were almost all high class. It was hard to imagine how they could lose. After wishing Rias good luck, Roy teleported to Sona's side. Compared to the relaxed atmosphere at the Gremory household, Sona's side was filled with tension. Sona's peerage was still incomplete, while Rias's was full. And she didn't know anything about Rias's new servants. The odds were stacked against them. "Roy, you're here," Sona said with a weak smile, seeing him appear. "Sona, don't feel pressured. Just focus on showing your strength," Roy reassured her, though he wasn't sure what else to say. Knowing Rias's power, he couldn't lie and say Sona would win. "Okay." Sona seemed to relax a bit. She knew she wasn't as strong as Rias. "Don't worry, even if you lose this time, you can always win next time. I promised to take you for special training, remember?" "Yes, you did." Sona nodded, a genuine smile finally appearing on her face. "Roy, how can you have so little faith in Sona-chan?" I shouldn't have shared her with you, Seraphol grumbled, glaring at him. Well, Sona's current strength isn't quite on par with Rias's yet, Roy explained with a shrug. I don't care. Sona-chan will win. Seraphol insisted, stamping her foot. Okay, Sona will win, Roy conceded, raising his hands in surrender. That's more like it. Seraphol nodded in satisfaction. Roy then took Siko and the others to the spectator seats with Seraphol. Surzex, the other mouse, Michael, Azazel, and Odin were already seated in the VIP area. There were a few empty seats left. Roy and Seraphol joined them. The match between Rias and Sona was highly anticipated. It was a battle between the younger sisters of two mouse, both rising stars of the new generation. The atmosphere was tense as the magic circle activated. The game was about to begin. Rias and Sona were teleported to the subspace. The battlefield was a replica of a shopping street in the Mao territory. Rias and her peerage had visited this street a few days ago and were familiar with the area. I didn't expect the battlefield to be this shopping street, Aquino commented, walking beside Rias. This is even more advantageous for us. Sona has been busy with training and probably hasn't explored this area yet, Rias said with a confident smile. They had the advantage in every aspect. It was hard to imagine how they could lose. Graphia's voice echoed through the subspace. Greetings, everyone. I am Graphia Lucifuge, the referee for this raiding game between the Gremory and Citri clans. The audience erupted in cheers upon hearing her voice. It seems Sis is quite popular in the underworld, Roy thought, stroking his chin. I will oversee this battle between the two families. Please, everyone, do your best. Now, let's get straight to the point. The battlefield is a replica of a street in the Mao territory. This battlefield was more complex than Kuo Academy. The surrounding buildings offered natural hiding spots. Both sides had to be wary of ambushes. The locations you have been transported to are your bases. Rias's team's base is the department store on the east side. Sona's team's base is the large bookstore on the west side. Pawns must reach the opponent's base to be promoted. The two bases were located at opposite ends of the map. Rias's team was in the east, and Sona's team was in the west. Near their bases were various shops, pet stores, arcades, restaurants, bookstores, drugstores, and more. A wide street connected the two bases. They had to be careful of surprise attacks. You have 30 minutes to discuss your strategies. During this time, contact with the opposing team is prohibited. The game will officially begin in 30 minutes. Now, begin your strategy meeting. With Graphia's explanation concluded, both teams began discussing their plans. Roy and the others in the spectator seats could clearly see their movements on the large screen. Rias's team. Bucho, what should we do? Kaneko asked. Shouldn't we come up with a strategy? Kyome suggested. I don't think we need one, Zenobia said. Yeah, just like in Roy's match against Riser, we can just charge in, Irina agreed. The two of them were Roy's loyal fans and had studied his previous battles. Exactly. We don't need any strategy. We have overwhelming strength, Velsaria declared confidently. As she said, their power far surpassed Sona's team. There was no need for complex tactics. Alright, then let's follow Roy's example and crush them, Rias decided. That's quite a straightforward strategy, Surzex chuckled, hearing their plan. Roy sighed inwardly. He hadn't expected to influence Rias's battle tactics. Sona's team, on the other hand, had a more complex strategy. They knew Rias's team was stronger, so they couldn't fight them head-on. They had to rely on ambushes and eliminate their opponents one by one. Their first target was Milla, who seemed to be the weakest. Kaneko, as a rook, wasn't a suitable target for an ambush. The 30 minutes passed quickly. Graphia's voice echoed once again. It's time to begin. This will be a short match, with a time limit of 3 hours. Now, let the game begin. As soon as Graphia finished speaking, both teams sprang into action. Rias's team sent out 3 members to attack Sona's base from 3 different directions. Velsaria took the middle path, Akino the left, and Milla the right. They didn't try to hide their movements. Kaicho, I found the target, Sona's bishop, Raya Kusaka, reported. Raya had the sacred gear scouting persona, which allowed her to gather information and detect enemies. How many are there? Sona asked through their communication devices. Just 1. What? Just 1? Sona was surprised. She trusted Raya's information. But why would they send only 1 person? What was their strategy? Kaicho, I've detected enemies in 2 other directions as well, Raya reported. Who are they? It's their queen, Akino Himajima, and their rook, Velsaria Eva Farangart. Sona and her peerage had met Rias's servants during their visit to the Lucifuge territory. But they didn't know the extent of Velsaria and the others' strength. Damn it, is Rias only sending 3 people? Sona was furious. She felt underestimated. But it also meant that Rias was confident in her victory. They had to focus their forces and eliminate 1 opponent first. Sona decided to target Milla, who seemed like the weakest. She knew Akino's strength, and Velsaria also seemed quite powerful. They weren't suitable targets for an ambush. With their strategy decided, Sona sent all her servants towards Milla's location. Milla skipped happily along the street. Suddenly, a figure leaped down from a nearby building. Ha! The girl shouted, swinging her sword towards Milla. Milla dodged the attack with a jump. Boom! The sword struck the ground, creating a large crater. Am I the target? Milla tilted her head, her mismatched eyes blinking in confusion. Within moments, she was surrounded. I apologize, Milla-san, but Kaicho has ordered us to eliminate you, Tsubaki Shinra said, adjusting her glasses. Is that so? But defeating me won't be that easy, Milla replied with a confident smile. She then chanted an incantation. O loyal knights of the noble Saint King, your swords are the power to vanquish evil and protect the innocent. I hereby command you, gather on my battlefield and fight for me. Sacred King's Legion. A pure white light enveloped the area, and countless magic circles appeared. From within the magic circles, figures began to emerge. Countless swords, spears, and shields materialized. It was an army of knights, summoned by Milla. This was the Sacred King's Legion, a strategic class spirit sealed within Milla's demonic eye. She couldn't summon it alone before, but after becoming a devil, she could easily control it. Tsubaki and the others were stunned as they saw the army of knights surrounding them. They hadn't expected Milla, who seemed so harmless, to possess such power. And these knights weren't weak either. Even if each knight was only a low class, their sheer numbers were a threat. And some of them even had the aura of middle class. And this might not even be Milla's full power. How are we supposed to fight this? In the spectator seats, the devils were in an uproar as they witnessed Milla's summoning. She can summon an army of knights? It's similar to the evil dragons, but I've never seen a sacred gear like that before, Azazel commented, looking at Roy with interest. It's something like that, Roy replied vaguely. Milla's Sacred King's Legion was a strategic class spirit comparable to an entire army. After forming a pact with it, Milla's strength had reached the peak of high class. However, to further increase her power, she would have to train and improve herself. Back in the arena, the others engaged the night spirits. They were immediately overwhelmed. They weren't fighting a single opponent, but an entire army. The knights with shields charged at the forefront, followed by those with swords and spears, and finally, those with bows and arrows. Under Milla's command, the knights attacked relentlessly. They struggled to defend themselves. Soon, one of them was eliminated. Just then, a massive wave of water surged towards them. Tsubaki, retreat! Sona shouted, rushing to their aid with her water magic. The knights with shields formed a wall, effortlessly blocking the wave. But Sona had already used the distraction to escape with Tsubaki and the others. "I'm sorry, Kaicho, Tsubaki began to apologize. "It's not your fault. I was the one who decided to ambush Milla." "I didn't expect her to be so strong," Sona interrupted, her brow furrowed. If a single Milla was this troublesome, how were they supposed to deal with Akino and Velsaria? "Kaicho, what do we do now?" Tsubasa Yura asked. Sona's frown deepened. Just then, a voice boomed from above. "There you are. I've been looking for you." A giant mecha appeared in the sky. It was Velsaria, piloting the dreadnought. "What?" Sona and the others gasped in shock. They had been found. Chapter 140, Sona's Surrender and Loki's Return. The audience erupted in cheers as they witnessed Velsaria's overwhelming power. "That's a new sacred gear. It looks amazing," Azazel exclaimed, his eyes sparkling with excitement at the sight of the dreadnought. "Oh no, Sona-chan is in danger." Seraphal cried, worried for her sister. "Rias has grown so much. Thanks to Roy," Surzex said with a proud smile, looking at Roy. "Ha, it's not just because of me. Rias and the others have also worked hard," Roy replied modestly. Back in the arena, Velsaria glared down at Sona and her peerage. She unleashed her powerful aura. The dreadnought's armor unfolded, revealing countless cannons. "Disappear! Be crushed beneath my dreadnought," she declared, her voice filled with cold authority. Dozens of cannons fired simultaneously. Boom! 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 The ground shook as a barrage of projectiles rained down on them. "Defend!" Sona commanded, her peerage struggling to maintain their defensive magic circles against the relentless assault. When the barrage finally stopped, they were panting heavily, their magic power depleted. As the smoke cleared, Sona's heart sank. Rias and her peerage had surrounded them. "Sona, it seems this is the end," Rias declared with a confident smile. "Yes, it is," Sona admitted with a sigh. "We surrender." "Kaicho. Sona-sama?" Tsubaki and the others looked at Sona in disbelief. They hadn't expected her to surrender so easily. "It's no use. We have no chance of winning," Sona explained, shaking her head. The difference in strength was simply too great. "Surrender confirmed. The winner of this rating game is Rias Gremory," Grafia announced. The audience erupted in cheers. "Amazing! As expected of the Gremory princess. 2 sacred gear users. She's so lucky. Her strength is beyond that of the younger generation. Even some of the older devils can't match her. Impressive. She'll definitely become a powerful devil in the future." Even Odin praised Rias. "Rias, I won't lose to you next time," Sona declared, appearing beside Rias in the arena. "I look forward to our next match," Rias replied with a smile. "Sona-chan, are you alright? We can win next time. Come here and give your big sister a hug," Seraphal exclaimed, embracing Sona. Sona blushed, embarrassed by her sister's public display of affection. She pushed Seraphal away and approached Roy. "Please make me stronger," she pleaded. "Why, Sona-chan, are you abandoning your sister? I can train you too," Seraphal wailed dramatically. But no one paid her any attention. "Don't worry, I'll make you stronger," Roy promised. Sona smiled, relieved. After the match, Roy and Rias returned to the Gremory mansion. They held a small celebration to commemorate Rias's victory. Late that night, as Roy was about to rest in his room, he found a girl already inside. He wasn't surprised. Rias and the others often did this. "Kuroka? What are you doing here?" Roy asked, dumbfounded. "Naya, I decided that it's safer to be with Roy than with Valley," Kuroka purred, making a cat paw gesture. "Finally come to your senses? Don't worry, no one will harm you here." "Not even Ophis," Roy reassured her with a smile. Kuroka smiled back, satisfied. Now, you can go back. Roy said, seeing that she wasn't leaving. No, I came here to bear your child. What? Roy thought he had misheard. I said, I want to have a child with you, Kuroka repeated. Roy was stunned. Was she really offering herself to him so easily? Although he liked Kuroka, this seemed a bit too sudden. Why? He asked. Because you're a good man, Kuroka replied. She had made this decision after witnessing Roy's actions at the devil meeting and the rating game. She could see his strength and influence. He was treated as an equal by the Maos. And judging by the strength of his servants, he clearly cared for them and helped them grow stronger. Seeing him promise to help Sona become stronger had confirmed her decision. Roy felt a bit happy, being called a good man. He wasn't going to refuse her offer. After all, he had already set his sights on Kuroka. The next day. Roy, wake up. Knock, knock, knock. Kaniko's voice and frantic knocking woke Roy up. Oh dear, it's Kenichi. What do we do? Kuroka said, though she didn't seem to be in a hurry to get up. Kenichi, seemingly hearing Kuroka's voice, punched the door open. Kuroka-Nizan, you're here. Kuroka had been with Kenichi last night, but when Kenichi woke up this morning, she was gone. So, she had come to find Roy. Kuroka-Nizan, how could you do this? Kenichi exclaimed, her face flushed with anger and embarrassment. Era, you found me, Kenichi, Kuroka said with a sly grin, clinging to Roy. Roy, you pervert! Kenichi shouted, then ran away. Roy shrugged helplessly. Roy and the girls didn't rush back to Kuo Academy. They spent a few days enjoying themselves in the Mao territory. Then, Surzex sent for them again. Roy was confused. Loki had been captured by Isdef and imprisoned by Odin. He shouldn't be causing trouble again. He went to the meeting room with Rias and Sona. Roy, you're here, Surzex greeted him. What's the urgent matter? Roy asked, taking a seat after Siko pulled out a chair for him. Loki and Fenrir were rescued with spatial magic. Knowing Loki, he'll definitely attack again, Azazel explained. Loki was determined to prevent the alliance between Odin and the three biblical factions, so he would undoubtedly try to disrupt the peace again. Roy shrugged. He had expected as much. Then why did you call me here? Just eliminate Loki, he said. He didn't understand why they had let Rias and Sona fight Loki in the original story. Loki was strong. Sending those young girls against him was ridiculous. They had so many powerful devils here, including Surzex, a super devil. And Odin, as the chief god of the Norse pantheon, was likely also a transcendent. Couldn't they defeat a single Loki together? The problem isn't Loki himself, but the giant wolf, Surzex explained. Its power surpasses even Loki's. It's a true monster. And Fenrir is known as the god-slaying wolf. Even gods can be killed by its bite. So you want me to deal with them? Roy asked. Yes. Judging by your queen's performance that day, she should be able to handle Fenrir, Surzex replied. All right. Roy couldn't refuse his brother-in-law's request. Besides, it was a trivial matter for him. Thank you, Roy. As the chief god of the Norse pantheon, this should be my responsibility, Odin said gratefully. Don't mention it. No one can disrupt our alliance in the underworld, Roy declared. Everyone smiled, pleased by his words. Peace was their priority. They soon prepared for teleportation. Roy, Rias, Sona, and their peerages would be going. Just as they were about to activate the magic circle. I am Rosweiss, a subordinate of Lord Odin. I'll be accompanying you, a Valkyrie in full armor declared, joining them. She looked valiant and imposing, a true Valkyrie. No one objected to her participation. Roy activated the teleportation magic and they vanished. They materialized in a barren, rocky area. Loki was already waiting for them. It seemed he had anticipated their arrival. He wasn't foolish enough to attack the Devil's HQ again. And he only needed to kill a few Devil nobles to disrupt the peace treaty. After all, if a Devil noble was killed by a Norse god, even if the Maus agreed to the peace treaty, the other devils would likely object. You finally arrived, Loki sneered, hovering in the air. Loki-sama, disrupting the peace is unforgivable. It's not too late to back down, Rosweiss warned. Valkyrie, a mere servant of Odin. Although I've heard you're skilled, you're no match for a god, Loki scoffed. He then noticed his death. And you, I won't underestimate you this time. You'll all become Fenrir's snacks, he threatened, his eyes cold. He believed his previous defeat at Isteth's hands was due to his carelessness. If you can, then try it, Isteth retorted, her eyes filled with fighting spirit. Loki's gaze turned even colder. He waved his hand. A magic circle appeared. And a massive wolf materialized. What? Fenrir has been resurrected? Sona and the others gasped in shock. But Loki wasn't done yet. Two more figures emerged from the magic circle. They were also giant wolves, similar in appearance to Fenrir. Those are Fenrir's sons, Hati and Skoll, Rosweiss exclaimed. Loki smirked and pointed towards the sky. A bolt of lightning struck, and two more figures appeared. That's Midgardsormr, one of the 5 dragon kings, and Jormungandr, the world serpent. Rhys recognized the two monstrous creatures. No wonder Loki was brave enough to challenge the 3 biblical factions on his own. His children, each were a formidable force. It was no wonder Odin couldn't control Loki. But against Roy and his group, Loki was doomed. They were more than enough to handle Loki, even without Roy's help. You'll regret making an enemy of the gods. Loki roared, pointing at them. Fenrir, Hati, Skoll, Midgardsormr, and Jormungandr charged towards them. Let's go! Rhys declared fearlessly. She led Akino, Kaneko, and the others to confront Fenrir and his sons. You go too, Roy said to Isteth, Siko, and Kurom, waving them forward. He then took out some snacks and sat on a throne made of ice, inviting Mine, Asia, and the others to join him and watch the battle. Even Estate and Ren emerged from their spirit seals. Isteth and the others nodded and joined the fray. Isteth faced Loki, Siko faced Midgardsormr, and Kurom faced Jormungandr. Hee, it seems my collection will have another little snake soon, Kurom giggled, looking at Jormungandr. That wraps up this part of What If Reborn in Highschool DxD as a Lucifuge. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Quick reminder. The series What If Transmigrated as Minato Namikaze is now on hold, since we're caught up with the author. Along with that, the series What If Fishing System and Food Wars World will be going on hold soon, since we're nearly caught up with the author there as well. So now, I need your help picking the next 2 projects for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these 3 fanfics. What if creating the strongest Strawhat crew by reading manga? What if Transmigrated and taking over Ichigo's body? What if martial artist Reborn is Kenichi Shirahama? Please vote in the poll and let me know which stories you'd like to see next. I'll take the top 2 picks and start working on those series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.